Hey guys, Sterling Brooks-Daly from Upscale Ignition, and I'm here to talk to you today about the Contractor Clarity System. Let's start out by asking, where do you actually want to be in your business, right? And I believe I've summed it up pretty clearly right here, so let me just read off of this, and I promise the rest of this won't go like that. From start to finish, you now have clearly defined roles, talking about your business, with clear responsibilities that have reporting on a specific cadence in order to determine if someone is doing their job or not, plainly put. You and your staff will now have a dedicated time to meet and work on things that matter, which are defined. Your staff can expect they will be judged on these things, but more importantly, when they bring these things up in these predetermined in-cadence meetings, that something's getting done and that there is momentum. All right? So if this is where you want to be, stick with me here. So there are 3 stages to get to that end goal, right? And it's very important that some of these stages go in a specific order, right? So I'm going to briefly go over the stages and then I'll dive into them. Stage 1 is your roles, responsibilities, chain of command, and strategic meeting cadence. And basically it's just the start of the actual reporting and strategic meeting cadence, right? You're starting to think about it. So then we move on to stage 2. Once we have those responsibilities and roles plotted out, we create SOPs. And if you don't know what SOP is, that's okay. There's so many acronyms in business and everywhere else that I don't blame you. Standard operating procedure is what I'm talking about here, okay? So we create standard operating procedures for things that you and your staff need to do, and most efficiently, better yet, right? As well as then we get into the video training creation and giving the ownership of that training over to your staff. This is really getting into, hey, look, if you had to leave your business for 2 weeks, is it going to run without you? Okay, so I'm not going to get into that right now. Sorry, I almost got ahead of myself. Real excited here. So stage 3 gets into reporting, cadence, and meetings, right? To really sum everything up. So we go from, hey, look, what are the clear roles? And if the role doesn't even need to be like a specific name of, like, I don't care what it's called. I don't care if it's office manager, admin, my right-hand man or woman. I don't care, okay? The responsibilities and actually narrowing into that is the most important point there, and getting an understanding of what this person's going to need to own and report to you on. Then we get into stage 2 where it's, well, what is that actually, right? What are the important functions of this job, and how does that relate to what you need to know as an owner to make the best decisions, right? As well as also making sure that you have a training library, so responsibilities and expectations are written down and known and notarized, and more importantly, upkept. Also, need someone new in that position? Oh my God, all the training's right there. You know, really important step there. Can you walk away from your business for 2 weeks if you had to? Then stage 3, now we're getting into, okay, hey, out of all of that information and what they have to do, how does that get to you? In the most efficient, and this is the key, the most efficient of what you actually need to know and when you need to know it, cadence. We're not trying to give you another job here. The whole point of this is to make sure that you can work on your business and less in your business doing everything. So let's go through these one by one a little bit, right? So stage 1, roles, responsibilities, reporting, and strategic meeting cadence. All right, so number 1, create roles. These roles, it's in this case, typically I like to work with whoever you already have, all right? This will really show, and if you have a problem with a current employee that you're just like, okay, look, I have a little hesitation because, you know, even though I know I can assign that to them, they may not, that's not the problem here, okay? This part is so valuable to A, know who to go to for what, because responsibilities are there, but B, it really is to break down, hey, are you doing your job or not? This is your job. This is your responsibility. Are you doing this? If you're the owner of something, can I ask you and come to you, and we'll get into that and responsibilities in a second. You know, it makes it very easy for you as the business owner to be like, yeah, okay, maybe I need a new person here. However, work with what you got right now and kind of the setup. If you want to change things, that's fine too. But the main thing here is that I usually take this off of what are the most important key pieces of your business that you already have right now, right? So for instance, if somebody, handles your bills and the finances in your company, like office admin, office manager, something of that nature, or if they don't even have a technical role, fine. But as long as you actually, and now we'll get into the responsibilities, define their responsibilities properly, right? Of, hey, not only like you're the owner of all the bills, right? When I say owner, and I'm going to get into this into the Contractor Clarity Operations Toolkit, which is a bunch of freebies, essentially, that is the starter pack of, hey, look, this is how you get started without any of our help, right? Well, aside from the help we offer. And anyways, whatever. So look, defining specific responsibilities is important. The ownership of, hey, really defining what does it mean to own something, and making sure that those are key aspects of your business, but moreover, that your expectations and what needs to be done is really, really nailed out in that, which is where we get into the actual SOPs, right? But at top level, it's really like, hey, you're the owner of the bills and auditing the bills. Hey, you're the owner of the financial reporting that we need monthly, quarterly, and so on. Hey, you're the owner of dealing with all of our marketing, as well as our marketing vendors, as well as our marketing reports and ROI. You need to understand what all those reports mean and be able to speak plain English to me. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. So, and then based on the responsibilities, we can start to get an initial reporting cadence of what you as the business owner would want to know from them. And usually I break that out into 4 quadrants. We have daily, weekly, monthly, then quarterly. We want to do something yearly. Hey, we got 5. Awesome. So again, who to go to for what in the flowchart? If you have a company that starts to get over, 3 employees, the less we make this tribal knowledge, the better, right? So the who to go to for what is naturally there, right, as soon as you have everybody's responsibilities, right? And that's also important too, because another really important part of this is that we are also stopping the got a minute meetings, right? Where it's like, hey, you got a minute? Hey, someone blew me up. Hey, somebody's asking me a question that they should know. All that. That's what we're trying to stop. All right, so the who to go to for what flowchart's helpful for the employees, but also as a helpful propaganda piece to make sure that people are hitting you up for the right things. All right, so moving on, now that we have, hey, look, here's the role, here is the list of responsibilities, which I typically make into a flowchart. Then we'll go on and create the SOPs, right? Now, I could get into the strategy of how to create SOPs and so on, but I'll probably do that more in the operations toolkit, or its acronym's COT. So if you hear me talking about COT, then that's what I'm talking about. So creating the SOPs, and I really want to get into this stage here where there's a lot of nuance when it comes to creating in this case, it would be identifying and then creating, because like you should be creating your SOPs based off whatever the hell you already do. If you don't have a standard procedure for what you do, hey, great, this is the time to make it. But you should at least have an idea of what the hell you have to do. You have a business that's running. You know what I mean? Like, you have to pay bills, obviously. You have to pay your people. If you have people, you have to pay for your applications. You have to, upkeep any inventory you may need. You have to make sure that your licenses are, I can go on and on and on. Or it gets into standard operating procedures for the actual work that you have to do, whether it's pest control and there's certain tech work, or whether it's plumbers, you get into anything. And I think that the main thing here is like that standard operating procedures are less important if you don't have, huge caveat, if you don't have this part done. If you don't have your office and admin, and or when it gets to the point of needing marketing as well as like that going back and forth with sales, you don't have that solidified, even if the phase is literally just, hey, you have a dispatcher, you have an office manager. Hey, you just have an office manager that fulfills all those roles. Awesome. You need to have your office and admin, as well as, if necessary, marketing and sales, operations down to a T, to make sure that you have all the support structures and staff and everything else you need to then focus on being the best tech in your company that you can be. Now, I'm not asking you to be a tech forever, but I just know that this is universal. All right. I can't tell you how to be a better plumber. I can't, not on technical knowledge. Like, actually, no, I can't. Like, look, I can't instruct in that way. I'm just going to call it what it is. Like, unless there was some tech involved or something stupid. But I can't tell somebody how to fix a toilet faster. I can't tell somebody how to, why they shouldn't use a certain kind of pest control if this person has a pet. That's not my bag. You know, I'm sure that that's not. Anyways, bad example on the last one. So, moving on, creating the SOPs, as we're creating these tiny little packageable, and that's what I really like to focus on here, depending upon how much bandwidth you have to understand that you're going to be doing this over a series of weeks, right? Depending upon how much bandwidth you have, if you even have someone in this position. And I like to do it in modular little operations. I would say that like little modular operations where it's easy to be like, oh, okay, hey, look, that works. Let's try it this way, try it that way, test it until it's done. It's done. Okay, what's the next Lego piece of this operation that we need to get into, right? And that's where it makes it easy to assign the tech. Now, of course, you're going to want to start out with what the heck are we even trying to do here? And if we do something somewhat manually, we need to know about that. You know what I mean? And that's when we can start to get into the tech, right? Which for contractors and service-based industries, there is, I want to be very clear, and it's not on this flowchart, but like of a centralized application that you need to run your business. All of the service industries for contractors, all of them have an application that is specifically geared to the operations of your company, and it also includes in finances and so on. For instance, House Call Pro is perfect for plumbers and a lot of other service people. We work with that. AccuLinks for roofers. Like I've seen just about everything when it's used right. Man, it's crazy. So I wanted to pause here just to say that, look, don't try to get a whole bunch of little clobbered systems together, okay? If you don't have a centralized application for your business, then that is where I would start to be thinking about this first when it comes to tech. Of course, there's a lot of nuance to this, obviously, based upon your individual position. Also, this is where you can integrate AI. That's really important. Is now you have a manual SOP, you can put it into tech to see what can be automated, what's actually done for you, and so on, and testing, and then obviously testing it. You see that here, real important. Also where you can actually integrate AI effectively. Notice how tech doesn't start off the process. A lot of people get apps and then don't do that. Know what you need to do and move as you need to move, because we're all damn busy and we can only do a little bit extra new every single week and be effective with it, right? So, testing the SOPs, super important. Look, as I said, modular. If you test it and it doesn't work, go back and fix it. Do not get stuck in the trap of giving your employees and yourself operational fatigue. What the hell is operational fatigue, Sterling? Operational fatigue is where you switch operations so damn fast that no one's going to listen to you on what you're doing with new operations. They're just like, oh, this is just going to change. It's going to stay the same. This sucks. Whatever. When you change operations, especially if you have more than one staff, it's best to do it in parts and pieces, as well as already planned out and thought through, and just focus on the adoption at that point. Anyways, so I could go on and on. But testing it to make sure it works so you don't have a Frankenstein system in the end, extremely important. This is where we also work on the tests, the setting up the reporting, right? So basically, we're thinking about reporting in this process if there is a need to report on things, right? All right, so now we're into the test and setup reporting. So this is where we're still keeping our focus line drive all the way through for our owner, our CEO of, hey, what reports do I need out of this? Are there reports that I need out of this standard operating procedure? If this is something that's like, you know, something inconsequential of, I don't really need to know how many shirts that you ordered every week, you know, not important, just need the staff shirts restocked. Maybe we don't need a report for that. Do you need a report for how many people how many groups that your, dispatch is sitting there and mentioning your name or helping in your B&I or something like that? Yeah, that would be great. So again, making sure that we're keeping this all the way through. And then we get into the video trainings. Notice how this SOP is all the way done, then we get into the video trainings. There's helpful applications for this that can store these, help make the whole process easier, and upload to learning management system, which is what I'm talking about right now. That's an LMS for company, and then assign the responsibility of training upkeep to whoever is responsible for it. Okay, training that is outdated is not good training. All right, you want to make sure that if you have people who own certain systems, own certain responsibilities that are quite high on how to do things, or even technical things, if that's not your bag, then you're going to want to make sure that they have the responsibility of keeping that training upkept, as well as it just, trust me, makes your life easy. All right. Stage 3, reporting, cadence, and meetings. Now remember, all of that was to get to the end here of, okay, we need a list of all the reports that came out of those SOPs, whatever we determined was good, right? And based on that report, then we get a cadence of meetings and kind of understand where they go. Hey, how often do we need to meet on marketing topics? Hey, do we need to pull the sales guy and the marketing coordinator in together so we can talk about the different qualities of leads on the different campaigns that they're all part of, or for the different companies, or whatever, you know? Also right here is where you need to set, when I say you, it's we if you do it with us, but like set goals on your metrics. You need to define what metrics are actually important for your company at this point based upon the reports that you collect. Something that would eventually lead into a scorecard, if you would, on, hey, if you had to run your company from a desert island, what information would you need to know? And then it gets into the setting the meetings to review, revise, and improve. So actually setting those meetings, and I'm talking about putting into a calendar and making sure that the proper people are invited, okay? Because if it's not on a calendar, it's not going to happen. So, again, that is, all right, and that is all 3 stages of the Contractor Clarity System. There are a couple caveats that I would like to add to this. One really important thing here is that we are focused on one phase, okay? Like, I understand the excitement as well as it's really the excitement of, oh, okay, hey, you know, but I could have a role that does this. We are talking about an as is, meaning as you are right now, phase, okay? Unless you're about to hire somebody and you're already in the middle of hiring somebody and that's what you're, great, add it. But as is phase right now, all right? The next phase of, okay, hey, once I get to this level, then I need to add a new role and I need to shift some of the responsibilities down. That's why I make them on flow charts, which is a part of our service, by the way. Super easy to just sit there and to drag and drop responsibilities, but you could also do this on a note. I mean, it's not rocket science once you do it. Kind of hard exercise to get into it first. So depending upon how you just depending. So again, focusing on this phase right now is super important. Then understanding, okay, well, what is that next phase? Also super important. What is that, trigger for, okay, hey, look, this is when things start to shift. This is when, for instance, if you have a business that has techs, such as a plumber, once you hit 5 techs, I need an operations manager and service area manager, and then some things shift. I mean, because once you have a certain person that has more bandwidth to take over a certain aspect of your business, right, then you can assign more things that actually get information out of them. I mean, information is probably one of the most important things within a business, in that it flows cleanly for what you need it for and not too much, right? The right information. Anyways, so I digress. But that is the Contractor Clarity System, and thank you.